Hey, beautiful people, Brother Guerrero here. I haven't been sharing any videos. I've been wanting to share this one though for a while, but yeah, I've been busy, um, keeping, an eye of the times, working a lot and keeping myself busy, see, this is what I'm doing. Not too long ago, a few months ago, I purchased a PS5. And for those who do not know what that is, it's a like PlayStation, kind of like a Nintendo, like a game thing, right? I purchased it so I could have more quality time with my daughter, one of them that she's on her own zone and doesn't really uh, like to do stuff with the family. So I figured, well, let's maybe if I buy this, I can spend some time with her. And we did for a bit, and we did yesterday actually. We actually had a good time playing the game. So and I've it's interesting because it's actually helped me mellow down, not think about too much of what's going on in the world because man, the more I think about it and watch the news and or whatever information I'm receiving, it gets me a little bit angry. So playing the game actually has helped uh, calm me down, and just enjoy my life, for once. But here, let me go ahead and share this with you. It's interesting. I This information that I have here, I've been thinking about the stock market a lot, and I think we are in the verge of a collapse, and it will happen. And we don't know how bad it is going to be, but I think it's going to get really bad. So I asked a question in our MeWe group, social media platform. I will leave a link below if you do want to join. You do have to answer a couple of questions before you enter into the group. It is a private group, and we just share a lot of end times, you know, prophecy and scripture, and just mostly a lot of what's going on in the events, just to help us understand what we are currently going through. Because the media is not going to tell us everything, but it's not for everyone. That's for sure. That is for sure. It's not for everyone, but if you enjoy the group, which I hope you do, then you can go ahead and share any content you like regarding the end times, prophecy, last days, Book of Mormon, whatever thoughts you had, some insights. Help us, receive revelation as well, because sometimes we have questions that we don't have answers to, and when we read some of the comments that are being shared, it helps us grow to understanding. So, anyways, this information that I have here, all these quotes and some videos that I will show you, has helped me um, clarify some things, some of my thoughts that I've had. And so maybe this will help you. So, the current times that we live in, as you know, high price, uh, food has gone up very high, and everything on sale is just crazy high. And so I just started thinking about this too, because I went to the grocery store and couldn't believe, I'm looking at prices. I'm like, man, I remember I paid half the price of that not, years ago. And now it's just double, triple, and it's crazy. Like our pockets are being empty. And it's scary because if there's I personally do believe that they are trying to collapse the economy on purpose. I honestly do. I think it's going to be here. I think they're trying to do it in China. I honestly believe that. I do. But I will share some more information of some of my thoughts. But let me go ahead and read these quotes. This is from the help of the group. Um, and so here we go. We read and hear news reports of economic difficulties, but they seem so far away or so academic that we never personalize the problems. Yet economic disasters affect real live people, people just like you and me. These people never believed it could ever happen to them, but it did. And similar experiences will continue to happen to others. Of course, we hope nothing similar will ever happen to any of us, but that wish may not necessarily come true, for no one's world is ever absolutely safe. As we witness the current economic turmoil in the world about us with its riots, starvation, and political upheaval occurring in nation after nation, many of us are completely oblivious to what the average individual in those nations is truly experiencing. Most of us have no real appreciation as to what it feels like to truly be without food, shelter, clothing, and the basic necessities of life, and further, no place to turn for help. Reading about another's life experiences can add a dimension to our understanding, but it will be nothing like having personally lived through such an overwhelming crisis. Here is the source. You can look it up for yourself. This is from Ezra Taft Benson. It says, Too often we too often we bask in our comfortable complacency and rationalize that the ravage of war, economic disaster, families, and earthquake cannot happen here to those, happen here. Those who believe this are either not acquainted with the revelations of the Lord or they do not believe them. Those who smugly think these calamities will not happen, that they somehow will be set aside because of the righteousness of the members of the church are deceived and will rue the day they harbored such a delusion. Here's another one from Bishop Coyle Vision, Bishop Coyle. So he had many visions. You know, I think a lot of people have their, I guess they either like Bishop Coyle or they don't. But here you go. It says, he was told by the messengers that there would be a great crash in the land before the period of famine began. This crash would be brought about by prices going up, which condition was illustrated to him as being like a person on high stilts. When prices became extremely high, something happened in the land, like knocking the stilts from under the person, and down came everything. Businesses closed down, labor was thrown out of work, people were hungry, and great tribulations were in the land. Wow. Here's one from Gordy B. Hinckley. I urge you, brethren, to look to the condition of your finances. I urge you to be modest in your expenditures. Discipline yourselves in your purchases to avoid debt to the extent possible. Pay off debt as quickly as you can and free yourselves from bondage. Here's from Charles W. Nibley. Brethren and sisters, let me say in closing that we have it of record that the prophet Joseph Smith said the time would come when, through secret organizations taking the law into their own hands, not being governed by law or by due process of law, but becoming a law unto themselves, when by those disintegrating activities, the Constitution of the United States would be so torn and rent asunder, and life and property and peace and security would be held of so little value that the Constitution would, as it were, hang by a thread. Wow, we've heard that, but thinking of this part, through secret organizations taking the law into their own hands, they are definitely doing that right now for the last couple of years. There's a vision from a patriarch, Charles D. Evans. It says, makes reference to it. He says, at this juncture, I saw a banner floating in air, whereupon was written the words bankruptcy, famine, floods, fire, cyclones, blood, plague. Here is, oh, check this out. This is interesting. Helen Georgescu, former executive president of the UN and former president of the Club of Rome, reveals how Trump disrupted the timing of their plan, which should have taken place in 2016 under Hillary Clinton's presidency. Donald Trump was a big shock, an accident. The pandemic should have happened in 2016 with water and food shortages planned for 2020. These will now happen in 2025. He then goes on to talk about pedophilia being the Achilles heel of the global oligarchs. Let's go to that video.
Is that the UN agenda is the same with Davos agenda. Mm-hmm. This, in fact, is my main topic for our conversation today. For this reason, this the world oligarchic system, they have the power on Europe because they control all the people like Bundeskanzler or president or prime minister or whatever there are. So for this reason, sorry to interrupt you, the situation with Donald Trump was a big shock.
They didn't expect that to happen. That was an accident, I suppose.
Absolutely an accident.
Not part of their game plan.
Was the first time of the oligarchy system was what happened an accident. Mm-hmm. Because normally you have to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the process which we are dealing now with this pandemic and all these liars was supposed to be in 2016.
They were pushed into
exactly,
early
in
start.
a sense to be in 2020 to be a disaster regarding food and water.
Ah, I see.
Which normally they want to arrive in 2025 now.
I see.
So the plan was a little bit changed, and for this reason, of course they will not succeed. This is clear. I mean the system is almost down. Mm-hmm. It's but of course there are the last moments, and we have to have the courage now, all of us, to say no, in a sense that UN could be a fantastic, can have a fantastic role, but is not, because it's totally under control of the oligarchs. Mm-hmm. The problem is that these oligarchs, all of them, are related with the system of the pedophilia one, because we know that there are more than 8 million children per year which they disappear. 8 million does mean the entire population of Austria.
So now it says here, Elder Bednar interview. After his speech given at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, May 26, 2022, Elder Bednar answered more than a dozen questions, and one of them was this.
We believe that there are, you can read in the Old Testament, about 7 years of famine and 7 years of plenty. It's a good idea to prepare. These undertakings that I've described are resource consuming, not resource generating. And a lot of people depend on the resource that we provide. And if things are different in the future than they are now, we think it's provident and wise to prepare to maintain that kind of support in an uncertain economic environment.
It says here from Orson Pratt, he said, "We're living in this territory comparatively at peace, but unless the Latter-day Saints live according to the light which God has revealed to them, they cannot escape. If God sends judgment upon the nations, he will send them upon us. If he visits the inhabitants of the earth with pestilence and blood, he will visit us in a similar manner unless we keep his commandments. If the inhabitants of the earth who know not God are to perish because of their wickedness, how much more will he visit those who have greater light and knowledge if they will not keep his commandments? The Lord sent forth the destroyer in ancient times to lay waste the firstborn of the Egyptians, pointing out the means by which his people might escape. And those who failed to do as they were commanded had no promise of being preserved. So in these days, when judgments come, they will begin among his saints, and those who have not attended to the word of wisdom and the law of life that he has pointed out, and have no claim to mercy and favor. So what do you think about that? Those are some powerful quotes. Those are a lot, to think about. And just like C-19, when it came, I started thinking about that. A lot of people started saying, oh, thinking in their mind that when C-19 came and some members died, a lot of them started thinking, oh, maybe they were wicked, or maybe they weren't protected because if they didn't keep the commandments or whatever. We honestly do not know why. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'm sure some were wicked, some are not keeping the commandments, of course, but I'm not here to say, oh, that's absolutely true. But I could say this in my personal, because I had C-19. I had the second one that I got really, really sick, and it was pretty bad. I've never felt that before. And if when we didn't get sick on the first one, I did feel protected. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel a little special. I felt like, wow, God did protect me, protected my family from it. I'm so grateful for it. Not that I'm like, oh, I'm this righteous guy. No, I just felt grateful for it. And I never got sick. I was never a person that got the flu or anything like that. So in a way, I believe that he kept me away from that. When I got COVID, he humbled me. I felt like he humbled me. I had a lot of things in my mind thinking about how maybe this is what I needed, because I do need to change certain things. And even then, you start doing good or better, and nothing happens for a long time, and you start slipping away and going back to whatever it is that maybe that it's not something we should be doing. We should probably be more focused more, right? And I think we all go through that. But like Orson Pratt, he said, keeping his commandments is key. And think about the commandments that have been given, and we promised to keep them. So that's something to keep in mind. Are we protected from danger? No. I mean, at this point, it is what it is. I think that we've let whatever's happening now, today, let it happen. We let the get-intons, secret combinations, rule over us, and we allowed it. Just when I would assume maybe when the Federal Reserve started, we became in bondage and we became slaves, and people don't really recognize that and see that. I might be sharing that video that I saw just yesterday, and had me thinking about that. And the guy was being interviewed by a guy named Trey Smith. I think he shares a lot of ancient biblical things. He's more into, what's his name? That evangelical prophet. What was his name? Kim Clement. But this guy, Trey Smith, I believe that's his name, interviewed a guy from Utah, and I feel for some reason I feel he might be a member of the church. But just because he lives in Utah doesn't mean he is. But it just kind of felt like it, but I could be wrong. But what he was sharing on there, which is kind of hard to hear, uh, it was kind of like because there was like a waterfall, they were in a cave and going through a tour. So but he shared some amazing things, had me thinking like, whoa, I think this guy is right. So I will post it in my other channel, a voice of warning. Hopefully it doesn't give me like some kind of like strike or something by sharing someone else's content. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it if you found it helpful. Maybe somebody needs to hear this, and I don't know. I guess prepare for what is to come. I see you guys later. Take care.